In the 2020 Asian American Voter Survey, 263 Filipino Americans and 226 Japanese Americans responded with the question, have you posted about politics to social media like Facebook or Twitter? 34% of Filipino respondents said yes, whereas 18% of respondents for Japanese said yes. Estimate the difference in percentage of respondents who have posted about politics to social media with 95% confidence. So again, we see that we have these two percentages, and we can just find the difference between them. But that would be the difference in the proportions for the samples. But we're curious, what would this look like for the entire population of Filipino Americans and Japanese Americans? So this is why we need this confidence interval. So as we saw in our solution, that we can define our parameters. We'll use PF as the proportion of Filipinos and PJ as the proportion of Japanese who have posted to social media. And we're using a 2 prop z interval. So let's just look at the calculations that we need to complete. So in order to do this on Art of Stat, one thing you're going to see is we need to know the number of successes, or at least something that's approximately the number of successes. And in order for us to get that, we're going to have to do a quick calculation because they only gave us the percentage of successes. So in this case, we see that 34% of Filipino respondents said yes, but this is out of 263 Filipino Americans. So how many said yes? So the number of successes for Filipino, we can do this quick calculation. Out of the 263, we want to find what is 34% of that. So we'll multiply times the 0.34. And if we just calculate this, see that about 89 if we round this. And we want to round it to a whole number because it's going to be an exact number of people, not a percentage, or not a decimal of a person. So next, let's look at the number of successes for Japanese. Well, in this case, we have 226 total that were surveyed. And out of those that were surveyed, 18% said they do post to social media. So that would be a times 0.18 to find that percentage. And if we round this again, we get about 41. So now that we have the number of successes, we can use our Art of Stat calculator to do the work for us. So in Art of Stat, we're going to be comparing two proportions, as we said. And opening up this calculator, you'll see that one of the options for entering our data would be entering the number of successes versus individual observations if we actually have the list of yeses and nos that people gave. We don't have that, we just have the number of successes. And so we can go ahead and put these in. So I'll put Filipino as group 1. And we saw again that this was 263 total, and 89 that we calculated were the successes. And for group 2 was our Japanese, where we found 226 in our sample size, and 41 said yes, they post to social media. If we want, we can also put in some labels just to help us remind us that this is Filipino versus Japanese. Rather than just labeling it group 1 and group 2, it helps us to distinguish this. It's optional. And we have the confidence interval here already. Since it asks for 95% confident, we'll leave it at 95%. And here we can see that the interval that we get is provided on this row right here, the lower bound and the upper bound. We can also find the interval within the graph of it as well. So as we saw in our conclusion, these are the intervals that we're looking at. So we're 95% confident that 8.1% to 23.3% actually contains the true difference in proportions who have posted about politics onto social media.